Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon Tierney. In 3, 2, 1.
Hey, right now, this was shaping up to be a very aggressive show. This was shaping up. Wait, what is that? What do we got here, Jay?
Nothing's going on. What's going on?
No, I'm hearing feedback.
Oh, really?
Yeah, let's see. Test 1, 2. We're good. I think we're straight now.
You should be good. You sound fine.
Should be good. What's happening? I get an early hello with J-Rod. J-Rod, you good?
I'm good. Can you hear me all right? Or
I got you. No, we're all straight. I don't know what that was. We had a little echo. No big deal. This was shaping up to be quite the aggressive show, as I started to say here. You know, this stuff about Volpe, which, by the way, has been debunked by the man who brought it to the table. I know that Sherman had it, but Michael K had it as well. And I guess within the last 15 or 20 minutes, and we'll have Michael today coming up at noon, so it's going to be fantastic. But Michael just put out a tweet, little video out there where he basically said that it's not true that Anthony Volpe, refused to get some work at different spots of the minors, because I was just about to lose my mind. And that was obviously going to be the start of the show. Instead, we will focus on the Yankees' inability to make contact. What's happening, everybody? Today's show brought to you by my friends at Sullivan Papane. You can find them online at triallaw1.com. It's triallaw1.com. Remember the name Sullivan Papane. And by Premio Sausage, the way sausage should be. Find them at premiofoods.com or in your local grocery store. A little housekeeping real quick on this here, Jay. Coming up a little bit later today. All you football fans out there, all you Jet fans out there, camp's not too far away. Episode number 16 of the Jets Collective. Can't wait for this with myself and Rich Samini and Jake Asman. That's one of the cooler images we've had. That looks really good. I like that. Okay, so that's a little later, live at 3 p.m. I can't believe we've already hammered out 15 episodes. Amazing. So, because the Volpe stuff, and we're going to have Michael on at noon, we'll obviously get into that. Like, as much as Volpe frustrates us and the way the Yankees protect him frustrates us, I really, it wasn't computing in my mind. I'm like, man, Volpe doesn't seem like, he might have a lot of baseball issues, but he doesn't seem to be that kind of a person that would be like, belligerent in terms of going to the minors and not getting some reps at second. So that has been refuted. Last night, oh my God almighty, even Monday when they win, Cabby with the 2 home runs, Ben Rice attack on 17 strikeouts, right? 3 guys had 3 strikeouts, Goldschmidt, Bellinger, who just looks awful, and Ryan McMahon, who is awful. And then last night, you're like, all right, hey, Yankees win the first game down to Trop, and Will Warren hasn't been great lately, but, maybe this is kind of going to get the Yankees going a little bit. You get 17 more strikeouts, which 34 strikeouts in 2 games is as pathetic and as embarrassing as you can have. I don't care if you're an expansion team. I don't care if you're the 1962 Mets, who were really one of the worst teams of all time. It's just ridiculous. Goldschmidt with 4. And Caballero with 4. And if anybody understands what Cabby was doing on that 3-2 pitch when he late, I'm going to ask Michael about that, because they were perplexed. Him and Girardi are like, what's going on? Here's the 3-2 to Cabby, and he puts his bat down, doesn't even think about swinging, strike 3. Wow. All right, so here's my problem, and here is my dilemma from last night, okay? So Aaron Boone was asked about, is this an approach thing? And he said it's not. Okay, so I want to know, what is it? What is it? If it's not an approach thing, it can only be one other thing. And it's not the cyclical nature of baseball, because this is happening way too much. I understand there's ups and downs, there's peaks and valleys, but this is kind of who they are. They've been a heavy miss team for really since they've been a champion, if you really think about it. The lineup's been loaded with guys who just strike out in an inordinate amount of times here. So if it's not an approach thing, well, then it clearly has to be a player thing. So both are unacceptable. And guys, both will prove to be fatal, because if Boone's right, and I don't agree with Aaron Boone, let me just be very clear about that. I don't agree. I do believe it's an approach thing. All right. Now, I'm not a professional baseball coach, understood. I'm going to try to stay in my lane a little bit, but I have said, and this remains consistent with what I've said for a long time, think about all the times I've described, whether it's Volpe, McMahon, Wells, or Jazz. Caballero's been pretty good last night, a bit of an aberration with the 4 strikeouts. Goldschmidt's, usually a bat-to-ball guy. He may have hit the finish line here very, very unexpectedly after a really good start and a very meaningful start that kept the Yankees afloat with all these injuries. But I'm not going to bury Goldschmidt because he's proven counter to what he was last night and even the night before with the 3 strikeouts. But what I've always said, Volpe, McMahon, Wells, and Jazz. And I'm actually going to put Jazz in a little bit of a separate category here. The other 3 guys that I mentioned, it is always strike 1, foul back a good pitch or take a good pitch. Strike 2, flail at something that is 7 inches off the plate, and then maybe take a show-me fastball. It's 1-2, and then you're out. Either it's a little weak 5-hopper rollover if you're a righty or a 5-hopper rollover if you're a lefty, or there's a punch-out. So to me, that is absolutely an approach thing. It's an approach thing. Now, I'll get back to Jazz in a moment. Most problematic for the Yankees is that I actually think that it's both. I just think that they have shitty players who have bad approaches. I mean, think about that. Like, if you have average players or even some subpar players, but they have good approaches, they're going to be at least passable if you don't have too many of those guys in the lineup. When you have substandard players with substandard approaches, you get this. You get 17 strikeouts and then 17 more. I mean, think about that. That is the most in the history of anybody in baseball, not just the Yankees, in a 2-game span. So I disagree with Aaron Boone from what he said last night, his assertions about the approach. I think it is rooted in the organizational philosophy, and I've said this forever, in terms of how they, what they teach and what they espouse and what they demand. Really is a better way to say it, the minors, right? But I think it's even more of an issue because they don't even draft really good players. So their scouting acumen has long been an issue. Their ability to project players has long been an issue. Their ability to develop players has been a longer issue. And now you compound those 2 aspects of baseball where you don't have really good players and they've got a god-awful approach. What do you expect? When Aaron Judge isn't here to save you. Oh, my God. Wow. I mean, J-Rod, think about this. We did the live watch show the other night for the first time. That was fun.
Yep.
We're doing more and more of those, some Jets, some football, Yankee playoff games, if they get there. I mean, they could, but
they will.
And they win the game. We had fun. Cam was great. It was cool. It was cute to look for the channel. We'll add some bells and whistles. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And you guys were very receptive to it, which was great. But the tone of the broadcast was largely good because Cam was so dominant. And Caballero smacked 2 home runs, and then Ben Rice swung the bat well last night. So he's emerging from this lengthy funk that he's been in. But even in victory the other night on Monday, they were wretched. Yep. And that is an outlier. Like, you can play 1 million baseball games encompassing every team from both leagues, however long it would take to get to the number 1 million. And I don't know, as a matter of fact, I don't think that you would have one team that wins a game when they strike out 17 times.
No, I mean,
that's possible.
It seems incredibly impossible. Like, and the Caballero video was ridiculous because let me say, I'm a little late. I've got the Bleacher Report app on my phone, and I don't follow MLB. And so it's rare you get a notification about something in baseball. I got a notification about the Caballero take strikeout, and it was just like, what is this batter doing? It didn't even say like Caballero or anything because it just like, it saw that as such just a wild moment.
Like so egregiously unprofessional that they had to alert the whole world.
I don't get it. And I know I saw some comments saying Ohtani does it. Well, it's a little bit of a difference when Ohtani maybe does it and Caballero does it, and the Yankees are striking out every single time. Like, you got to put that on the ball. You got to at least make an attempt.
Or at least hold on to the bat if you don't put the bat on the ball. Now, I don't know that I've ever seen Shohei Ohtani do that. I can't imagine he did it quite like Caballero did last night. Like, it's one thing if you know. I mean, I do see a lot of guys where maybe it's like a backdoor slider or just a perfect, or they're guessing change up or something soft, and it's boom right down the chute, and they know they're going to get rung up. It's a pretty, like, they don't even wait for the arm to go up to complete the punch out, you know? Yeah. They're walking back, helmet off, taking it if there's a third out, batting gloves off, all the other shit that they wear. I don't know that I've ever seen a guy before the ball hits the catcher's mitt basically giving up. I don't know what that was. I've never seen that.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's absolutely ludicrous, man. So the Yankees have all sorts of issues here. It is organizational. It is an absence of fundamentals. It is a complete absence of accountability. I can't wait to get Kay on the show. I cannot wait to talk to my buddy Michael Kay in about right around 30 minutes, guys. So get those chats going. Rusty Buzzer, BT hitting the nail on the head. Most of the players are not that good. Yeah, Boone can't mismanage when nobody's on base and anybody he puts in the lineup stinks. Now, yeah, I've defended Aaron a lot. Obviously, I'm going to separate my friendship. I just have to do that to be a pro. I don't like what Aaron said last night. I just don't. Or at least let me say I don't agree with it. And I just gave you the reasons as to why. I believe it's both. So he was asked, good question. I mean, when you strike out 17 times twice in a row, it's a valid question. It's not exactly out of bounds. Like it's nothing that Aaron or really any manager has any sort of right to get angry with or push back or resent. That is question number one. Hey, Skip, you guys just struck out 17 times tonight. You struck out 17 last night, 34 in 2 games. That's the most by any team in a 9-inning game over 2-game span. Is it an approach thing? No, I think our approach is good. I don't. I think the approach is terrible. And then I said before I was going to get to Jazz. And by the way, I don't think that that's necessarily Aaron Boone's fault. And I'm not just trying to blindly exonerate him, but it goes down so many levels and so much deeper than Aaron Boone. It's an organizational philosophy, truly. I mean, it is what you teach and what you demand and what you espouse philosophically from the moment that you get drafted. I don't care if you're coming out of high school. I don't care if you're a stud coming out of the SEC. I don't care if you're first-round bonus baby like Volpe or an 18th or a 19th round flyer on a guy who's big and strong, is a little raw, and maybe might project whatever you think he might project if you get a little, if you get a little bit lucky here, like Piazza, back in the day, when they had many more draft rounds. Mike I might be at 38th round, whatever it was something crazy. And, we know the story, Lasorda and Mike's dad, but Mike had immense raw man power, and he couldn't run, and he wasn't a good catcher. But, that's the kind of flyer that you take on certain players later in the round. And no matter if it's the bonus baby, even Judge, first round pick coming out of Fresno State, or Volpe, as I said, or some guy that probably will be out of professional baseball in 2 or 3 years, whether he's at, rookie ball or low A, or it doesn't matter where, instructional camp, it's got to be an unwavering conviction as to how you attack at bats. It has to be. It is absolutely the wrong approach. There is nothing to debate. The only thing and it's not a debate, I'm just adding this part, it's a double whammy. The approach stinks, and the players might be worse. So again, when you have good players, put it this way, when you have good players with inconsistent approaches, you're like Jazz. I think he's probably a good example. He's a good player, he's talented, but his approach is all over the map, especially this year. When he said he's going to go 50-50, put immense pressure on himself in a contract year, and now he's swinging for the moon every time he gets up because there's no chance he's hitting 50. There's no chance he's hitting 40. He's not even hitting 35. So he's feeling the pressure. He was wearing Stanton's pants for a month. He was using Judge's bat for a week and a half. The guy spitted himself like a corkscrew into the ground, but he is at least a talented player, obviously. He's got juice in his bat. He runs like the wind. He's got a good arm. He's got good hands. Now, his IQ, like his baseball IQ, is pathetic. His alertness is non-existent. His engagement night to night is incredibly inconsistent. But that's different from just not having the talent, which appears to be the case with McMahon although he wasn't drafted by the Yankees, so that's a Rockies thing. But they acquired him, Volpe and Wells, and to a lesser extent because Dominguez has at least been okay. It's just amazing. I mean, it is the same song and dance every year. It is a broken record, and it's just exhausting. Oh, my God. Yeah, Will Warren was awful once again. It's funny, and certainly not in a comedic way, in a very worrisome way, where the Yankee rotation, now they've had some injuries, and even when you go into these rants, like you gotta be fair. I mean, Rodon started the year on the injury list. Obviously, Garrett Cole missed even more time. Max Fried hasn't pitched in a month and a half, whatever, maybe 2, whatever it is. Obviously Clark Schmidt's still coming back for the Tommy John. Like, they are absolutely banged up. And for the most part, the staff's done a representative job of giving the Yankees a chance to stay in some of these games. Cam should be the all-star starter. He's the Cy Young favorite. Will Warren was very good early, but he is regressed, got into a slump. I don't really know who Will Warren is at this point, except probably, an average, back of the rotation, maybe tick above average back of the rotation MLB starter. But what was once, I thought, certainly to be their ultimate strength, where, I'm sitting here thinking, all right, you get Garrett Cole back, provided he still looks like Garrett Cole, which he does him. Obviously, Fried's a beast. Schlittler's phenomenal. I'm looking at those 3 guys, Cam 1 or Fried 1, Cam in game 2, and then Garrett Cole in game 3 against in the playoffs against another team's number 3. Well, now that's a team, if you just get decent, and that, of course, included Aaron Judge, decent offensive production, and you catch the baseball, and you're not an eyesore on the bases, that's a team that, given the weak state of the American League, could get to the World Series. And if you get a little bit lucky or you get hot, you can win it. But now everything's busted. Cam bounced back greatly, and he was talking smack. How about that? Did you see? I loved what Cam Schlittler said the other day. This is the way the Yankees used to be built, right? This used to be their DNA. So Cam Schlittler the other night, Monday night, after that game, remember there was some smack talking after it, after his previous outing, which was not good. And he steps up to the mic after utterly dominating a first-place team, and he was asked about bouncing back from his last start. They want to say that there's a bleeping F-word, bleeping regression, because I have one bad outing. So, again, it was personal to go out there and have a dominant start and put this team in the right direction. That's Roger Clemens right there. That's Pedro right there. Like, that is Randy Johnson right there. I'm not saying he's going to have that career because I certainly can't project longevity, but that is a dog. And the Yankees just don't have any. They got puppies. That's what they got, where they used to have, used to go to the old Yankee kennel and you'd have, 3 or 4 rots, a couple of pit bulls. You just have dogs, beasts, not just bark, but bite. Like, they had a bite. Tino, dog. Jeter, dog. Posada, dog. Clemens, dog. Wells, dog. Mo, dog. Pettit, dog. Dog. O'Neill, dog. Everywhere, dogs. Darrow with it, dog. Justice, dog. Dogs. And now they got a little, bunch of little lap poodles or whatever you call those little tiny cute looking dogs that you hold in, that you stick in your pocket or you stick in your purse, Good God. Hey, Jay, I'm nearing the end of the run here, buddy. I got a couple left. Remember that little...
oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I got to ship these to the Yankees. I got to cleanse the Yankees, man.
Detox them desperately, bro.
This is good. Some of them aren't very good. This is well, most are actually pretty good. But there's a couple I like. Like, I like the beet one. This is called Citrus Kick. Ooh. It's got a little orange, a little lemon, a little carrot, a little ginger. How about that?
Tasty. There we go.
Not bad, right? Let's ship those to the poodles. Get them growing a little bit.
Wait, I saw some yep, here we go. This is a good. Spencer Jones struck out 34 times and only had 73 at bats.
Oh yeah,
that is just insanity.
I tried to tell everybody about Spencer. I warned you, and at least again, Dominguez is right field, outfield, still a bit of an adventure here and there. I get that, but at least he's been a competent major leaguer. Now, he hasn't been what we thought he could be, and I never leaned into the Martian, the nicknames. I never once said that. I never once said the next Mickey Mantle. I was highly intrigued. I was hopeful, but at least he could run. He's got a good arm. He's hitting better from the right side. He's got a little juice in his bat. So, at least he's got some tools here. Now, Spencer Jones has tools, but I told you guys, this is just common sense. I don't know how most of you did see this. So I'm not trying to get on you guys, but some of you didn't see this. Now, some of you were just blindly hopeful out of desperation, which I get to an extent as a fan, but I'm sitting there saying, what, this guy strikes out 32% of the time in Double-A, and he's going to go up to the majors with the best pitchers in the world, and that's going to decrease and the production's going to go up? Why? Logically, why would that happen? Why? It wouldn't. That was an easy one. Spencer Jones. Come on. Spencer Jones. Not sure if there are Yankee fans who feel otherwise, but bringing back Juan Soto, Soto's absolutely beasting. Was 100% the right move, and we miss him dearly right now. That's hello, Captain Obvious. No kidding. The Yankees miss Juan Soto. Oh, let me debate that. No, the Yankees don't miss Juan Soto. They wouldn't need the guy with the highest OPS in baseball, a guy who's got 20 bombs, and despite missing 15 games with a calf strain, they don't need him. Why would they need him? But guys, the difference is that the Yankees tried. I wanted Juan Soto to stay. I'd never once hidden from that fact. I gave the Mets an overwhelming amount of credit for getting him, taking him from the Yankees. And listen, a lot of that was all the concessions they made and all that stuff. And life's, Juan Soto's still amazing. But let's face it, Juan Soto's life with the Mets is pretty shitty. It is what it is. Think he's having fun? He looks up at the scoreboard. His numbers are through the roof. You think he's enjoying? Did he enjoy last night? Would they give up 3 touchdowns? Did they tack on the couple of extra points, or did they stop at 18? I didn't even know what the score was last night with the Mets game. What was that? And they got gifted a couple of runs. That defensive sequence. Was that Benj? Who the hell was that? Who got that Little League home run? We had
Carson Benj, I believe, or AJ Ewing. I think
it was one of those two guys.
It was Carson Benj, I believe.
Was it? I've never seen. You will not see a worse baseball play. Now, Juan Soto tried to top that last week when he turned, the play in left field against. I think that was Springer. Yeah, it was against Toronto. And just didn't commit, didn't read the hop right, goes to the wall. That you got Benj picking up the ball, or maybe that was Ewing. I don't even. It all blurs together. He tries to throw it, base almost goes over the wall. But that at least was a sequence of 2 comedic errors. That play last night. There were 5 errors on one play. I've never seen that. I saw that when I was coaching the boys, and they were 7. I saw that maybe once. Ground ball to short, throws it over into off the back fence or short hops the first baseman. Of course, the right fielder's not backing up, so automatically the guy's on second. First baseman runs to retrieve it. He throws it to second base, throws it wide, goes into left field. Left fielder's not backing up. Now the guy keeps going to third, and now the left fielder finally corrals the ball. He doesn't hit the cut. Wave him in. Let's get the extra run because we're trying to win 16-15 at that level. I've seen that before, not in the majors. BT, years without a left fielder, center fielder, third baseman, still have a stopgap at shortstop. Keep this up there, Jay. I want to dissect this point by point. Stopgap, shortstop, first baseman. It's a dumpster fire for the last decade. Yep. No, it is. Think about all the first. Now, Ben Rice is obviously hot again. Ben Rice is an absolute stud. He's an all-star. I love him. He's going to do the home run contest, the home run derby, which is good for him. And good to see him swinging the way Ben Rice was swinging for the first 2 months of the season. You don't keep great hitters down, and I believe he's a great young hitter, right? So forget about first base. But before Ben Rice, think about it. Let's give Goldie a shot. Let's give him $12 million a couple of years ago. Before that, let's bring in an aging Anthony Rizzo, who had a couple of moments early, but then, whether it was the concussion, just completely aged out. That didn't work out. Why am I forgetting the dude's name? Luke Voigt, who actually led baseball in home runs during the COVID year, 20 home runs, whatever it was. But all the other first basemen that they employed, first base has been an absolute disaster forever. Glaber I had issues with Glaber. I wish Glaber was on this team now. It's crazy. I mean, at least he's not going to hit 209. He's going to hit 260, 270, put the bat on the ball a little bit, but outside of Glaber, and listen, Jazz has talent. We know that. So second hasn't been quite as bad. Shortstop, disaster. Third base, disaster. Catcher, disaster. Center field, Grisham's got power, but he was a throw into the deal with Soto when they got him. He was supposed to be a bench guy, but because of their dearth of out, whether it's Dominguez's ability to develop in center field or their lack of willingness to play him there or a combination of both, whatever. Grisham, who was supposed to be, play 2-3 times, maybe 3 times a week against righties. He's got to play every day because you don't have a center fielder. He's fine out there, but that wasn't the plan. They almost got lucky with that, right? I mean, left field, Bellinger's great, but before they got him, you had Gallo out there. You had, Clint Frazier. Just keep rolling them out there. It's just, they don't develop anybody. They really don't. Man. And they just accept it. Everybody remains employed. And I think for me, more distressing is that the Yankees remain and allow, is probably a better way to put it, allow everybody to remain comfortable that has no business being comfortable. Anthony, I know that we'll get Michael up in about 15 minutes, a little less than that. It's going to be great. Michael K. back on Unleashed here. I thought nobody liked me, yet all my coworkers are coming on the show. It's pretty funny. Evan was on, Don was on, Kay's been on a bunch. Stephen A was on. I think that when you look at some of these guys that are playing and there's just no penalty or even a remote threat of having your job taken away from you, like pressure either breaks you or it serves as an incredible motivator to get it right. You know what I mean? And everybody's different. So I understand that the psychology of sport, you have to handle the approaches and the mindsets of certain players differently. Even hang on, Jay. Getting worked up, losing my pen. Even, coaching, and I'm not equating the two, but even coaching young kids like I have forever, I know that there's just certain kids, not that I would go at them at all, but I just know that the line of communication and how I present things could vary and does vary from kid to kid. Like there's just certain kids who know the game inherently better, are more mature. I don't have to explain it 9,000 times. I could be a little bit more direct. Hey, let's wake up. Come on, let's go. And then other kids need a little bit more of a pat on the behind, which I get it. And I love doing that stuff, right? But this isn't 11U ball. This is the Yankees with a $355 million payroll who strike out 17 times a night and who are sinking. But yet, everything that you hear, it's not the approach. It's not the roster. It's both. It's what it is. It's both. It's everything. It's real. If you think about it, it's everything. It all trickles down. Now, I don't have as much of an issue with Hal as some of you do. I get it. Never going to be George. We know that. Here, cue again. Same song and dance. Same violin. Cue the music. Like we talk about this. We've regurgitated this a million times. It's driving me nuts to talk about the same stuff with the same team for basically 10 years at this point, right? But while I appreciate Strong, so I'm not going to say I appreciate Hal, but while I accept his ownership style a little bit more than many of you do, right? Because he does spend and all that stuff. I also realize that he's far more tolerant with the things under him than his dad would be, and certainly more than I would be. That's for damn sure. Damn sure. So, all right, Volpe didn't push back on playing second base in the minors. Well, he has still had, 2,000 plate appearances and over 500 games played. Has he gotten 1 inch better? 1 inch. 1 inch. Has he gotten 1 inch better? Have we seen him look more comfortable at shortstop? Have we seen, the way he receives the ball at shortstop? The throws across, they're getting worse. That's undeniable. Have we seen any progression there? Have we seen any advanced approach at the plate? Have we seen any? I know he's on base more than he's been, but still, I mean, the other numbers are really weak. Have we seen any true, incredibly, like really encouraging statistical upticks that provide evidence that, oh yeah, this is kind of what we thought we were getting when we drafted him? And the answer is no. So we've seen him get worse, and we've seen Austin Wells get worse. We've seen several different levels of either stagnation or ignoring him or misusing him with Jason Dominguez. You know, we've seen Jazz regress. I guess McMahon's always kind of been this player. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know what else to say, Jay.
Our chat has like blown up with like this rumor about Lindor to the Blue Jays, but I've looked through the entire internet and all of Twitter. I haven't seen anything. So if y'all could just state your source.
Yeah,
my man Jay.
Is it Mike Francis? It might be Mike. I mean, Mike was saying that. Yeah, I got to laugh too. So, what's his name? Kenny Rosenthal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Bowtie. He's good. He's been on the scene for a long time. Although I remember there was a video of him, whether it was a year or two ago, he was doing an interview, and I guess poor camera guy was like trying to do his job, and Ken either bumped into him unknowingly or whatever. And Ken gave him like such an icy death glare. And to me, that was a little like, okay, you might be nice on camera, but you came across as an ass. I know he apologized profusely, but whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to take shots at Rosenthal. That stuck with me. You don't treat people under you. You don't treat anybody that way. Yeah. Particularly when you're making, I don't know if he's making millions, but he's doing well. I can promise you he's making 3 or 4 times more than the guy that he bumped into and basically lit up with his eyes. Anyway, Francesa the other day on his podcast, went into the Soto-Lindor relationship. And, like me, I believe that it's frosty. Despite, even though Cohen said it was an issue last year when he talked to Sherman and Heyman last week. But Mike basically doubled down on that and basically did say they think that the Mets are trying to trade Lindor. So I don't know. Does this tie into the Blue Jays rumor? I don't want to get wrapped up in rumors too much, but Mike did just say that. I've thought for the last 2 years that if you could get something good for Lindor or just, solid, then I would move on from Lindor. I don't even care about the relationship with Soto as much, but he's just not the player that he was, and he's only going to get worse. Middle of the diamond, 33 years of age. You're not going to get better. You're going to get more injury prone. You're going to lose a step. Numbers will go down like they have, etc. And maybe that's it. But what Rosenthal's, this is the part that I didn't really love. He's like, Mike's not a reporter. So what? Mike's not a reporter. What does that mean? Mike, I promise you that if and this is why it's Mike Francesa. If Mike wanted an answer, and I mean to whatever pertinent issue it might be applicable to the New York Giants, he calls Mara, gets the answer. At this point, he's probably locked into Harbaugh as well. All right, check. If he's got an issue with the Yankees or he's got questions about the Yankees, I can promise you he's going to get the answer. Check. And I know Craig has a great relationship with the Garden and Dolan, but I'm quite sure if Mike needs some information and intel direction on a Knicks story, pretty sure that he could get that from the Knicks as well. Check. Which means he could probably also get it about the Rangers if he really cared about the Rangers, even though Dolan just handed the team to his son. He's not a reporter. What the hell does that mean? Tiki's not a reporter. Tiki's the one who broke the story on Cohen buying the Mets. I'm not a reporter. I'm the one who told you Rick Pitino was going to come and coach St. John's. Like, you don't have to get a grip, Kenny. I mean, stop. No, I'm a reporter, and you're not. You're not allowed to have any sort of connections. Man, that's what bothers me about some reporters. Like, some are great. Really, I mean, many are great. Really do a good job. They report without bias. They're incredibly well sourced. They'll own it if they're wrong. But like, some of them live on this almighty, like they think they're the Lion King being presented to the entire jungle. Oh, look, we've got the almighty reporter. the omniscient, all-knowing report. Stop. Come on. Anybody with a Twitter account that's got some contacts can report something. That doesn't mean it's going to be accurate, always. But with somebody like Mike, I don't know. When Mike says that, because that's not what Mike usually does, I'm not about to refute it. I'm just not. So I thought that was pretty weak. That's how I see it, All right. We got him early. I know he's wearing a red shirt, even though it's a little blurry. I think it's red. He's had an interesting couple of days. He's had an interesting year. It is getting rough calling some of these Yankee games, but he is still fantastic. Down the road, he hates when I say this, eventually a broadcast Hall of Famer. 35 years now at the Yankees? One of the most in baseball. Of course, he's got his own show on 880. My buddy Michael K. Where's Big Mike? Here, look at Mike. What's up, buddy?
How you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing okay, Mike. Welcome back to the show. I appreciate you hopping on. Everything good?
Everything's great. Outstanding.
All right. Except the Yankee bats. We got a lot to hit today, man. So, when I've had you on in the past, we've kind of delved in, and I love doing this with my guests, but some personal stuff. This is really just about kind of an emergency state of the Yankees. We're talking shop. Let's get into it. So you had, and I think that Joel may have had, I know you're very, very close with Joel. I think Joel may have had this as well the other day. The thing about Volpe, which you recanted, right? So just get us up to speed on, if you can, Mike, on what you said yesterday and then what you put out about 50 minutes ago.
Well, what I said yesterday on the show was a couple of people, a couple of sources, and rumors that I had heard was that Anthony Volpe had been asked to play second base, and a couple of people told me that he didn't want to. So it was like a throwaway line on the show yesterday. It wasn't a real big thing. I should have realized that it was going to be a big thing because there's such enmity toward Anthony now in the Yankee fan base. Then when I got up today in St. Pete, I got a phone call from somebody who I know and who's in the know. He goes, I don't know where you got that, but that's really not true. You should check it out. So then I made a couple of phone calls, which I should have done in the first place because that's my bad. And the person said, the people that I spoke to said, that's just not true. He was never asked to play second base, so he never refused. So I recanted it because I felt badly because I like this kid. And I've always said on the air, I want this kid to do well. I think he comes under a lot of fire. And obviously, by getting it out there that he had, said he didn't want to play second base, it kind of ignited the fire. And I didn't even know, but somebody told me that Joel had also written something similar. And I didn't even know that when I said that yesterday. But from the phone calls I made today, not true at all. So maybe that takes some of the heat off of him.
Yeah, probably not, but maybe that kind of heat. But
that heat,
that heat for sure. I mean, it's Mike. It's the same stuff. It's just last night, and I'm a Boone guy. I know you really like Aaron as well. Certainly not perfect, but I live by the mindset of. I remember talking to Jack Morris about this years ago. He believes now. This is just his opinion, but he believes that the best managers equate to about maybe 5 to 7 wins a year. The rest of the crop, 60%ish of the remaining managers. Kind of a push, up one, down one, whatever. And then guys who are just atrocious at their job, are generally responsible for, in the thoughts of Jack Morris, 5 to 7 losses. I can't prove it. It's his opinion, but it stuck with me. He told me that 20 years ago, right? And I think Boone's good. I don't think he's great. I think he's good. I think he's a great person. And I think that he diffuses problems so well. And when you're the manager of the Yankees, that's imperative because there's nobody bigger than the Yankees. However, when he said last night that he doesn't think that there's any issue with the Yankees' approach, I think that's really one of the most ridiculous things that he said. I don't buy it. It's so apparent that I don't want to say that he's wrong, but I disagree with that strongly. What about you?
Well, he's never going to say anything that's going to reflect poorly on the organization or the team. And I think that that's part of the rules of engagement of that job. So that being said, obviously, the approach of late has not been good. You can't strike out 34 times in 2 games. In fact, it's never been done before in Yankee history. That's how outrageous it is. I just think people right now, I don't know if it's the approach, Brandon. I mean, you played at a college level. I didn't. I just think that everybody is in a collective slump. And I think that people get hot at the same time. And I think people slump at the same time. It's like contagion. So I think that's what's happening right now. And I think that Aaron Judge said it very well when he spoke last week. And he said, everybody's trying to hit a grand slam with nobody on base. And I think that leads to pressure, and that leads to overextending and probably expanding the zone. And it probably leads to a lot of strikeouts because people are trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. And whether that's approach or not, the Yankees have a really good hitting coach. They've always led the league or been close to the top of the league in home runs. But I think it was Chris Kirchner today in the Athletic who said that no team has ever been in the bottom 5 in strikeouts that has won the World Series. And which is, and the Yankees right now I think are 4th in strikeouts. So they've got to correct that. Now these 2 games obviously are, you would hope that they're an outlier, but they're going to face a really good pitcher tonight. So we'll see what they do.
A lot, pardon me, Mike. A lot of that resonates with me. What you just said, and I do remember there was one. Let me just shut this down. Goddamn, this freaking phone, pain in the ass, dude. Still can't figure out how to knock it out. Anyway, I remember. So I do get the mental gymnastics that hitters go through, even though I was 1/1,000,000th of these guys. I remember playing against West Point, right? We come back. It's my sophomore year. It's in the fall, so it doesn't count, but it's a game, right? And I hit a home run, and I had a good day. A couple of doubles, home run off the scoreboard, and there was a White Sox scout there, and he told my manager, unbeknownst to me at that time, my manager later told me like a month later, he said, "Listen, he can't run a lick, so we're gonna need to see." Like they liked me a little bit. We're gonna need to see that power. So I got it in my head, and I internalized. I'm lifting all winter, doing things that are bad for baseball. And it basically ruined me. Like it basically ruined my college career. And I say that because the mind is as powerful a tool and a weapon when it's going well as anything in the human body. So I get it. These guys are scuffling. I get it. It's cyclical. I know all that stuff. But when I see Wells and Volpe and certainly Jazz this year swinging out of their heels when it's 2 strikes, and you got to I'm not saying you got to try to flick the ball like a 1970, like Mark Belanger, or Manny Trio or somebody like that, but I don't think their approach changes. I think they've got the same swing when it's 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, even 1-0 as it is 1-2. And that is a philosophical breakdown, in my opinion, like and I can't prove this, but what the Yankees espouse in the minor leagues, they're either drafting the wrong people or they're teaching the wrong thing, or both. I do think it's approach, Mike.
Well, but it's interesting. I don't think it's endemic just to the Yankees, though, Brandon, because I think when you listen to old-time players talk, the thing that really bothers them is that players don't have a 2-strike approach. And you'll talk to some old-time pitchers now, and they say, well, we could strike out 12 to 15 guys a game because everybody swings from their backside, even with 2 strikes. But the interesting thing is one of the guys who's struggling the most right now for the Yankees is Cody Bellinger. And he very clearly has a 2-strike approach.
Yes.
Where he tries to put the ball in play. Yep. And he's striking out and he's struggling as well. Paul Goldschmidt is a guy who has a 2-strike approach. He struck out 4 times yesterday. Again, maybe it's contagious. I'm not quite sure. I know that right now everybody is really pressing. And even when they won on Monday, Brandon, they still struck out 17 times and only had 3 hits.
I know.
So if they're going to win games, they're going to win games by hitting home runs. And they had the 3 home runs on Monday, and yesterday, Rice had a home run as well. But they've got to start to hit home runs again and not strike out as much as they do. But a team that's built on home runs, Brandon, they are going to strike out, just not to this extent.
Yes, and by the way, not to belabor this because I got some other stuff that I want to hit you with, but you're right. 2 of the players that you mentioned there, Goldschmidt and Bellinger, they do have a more advanced, a little more contact, a deviation,
right.
But they weren't drafted and developed by the Yankees.
Right.
Like the 2 guys who do what you want players to do came from different organizations. That's kind of my point, but we could go in circles on this. I hear you. And I think it's either way, it's got to rectify itself really soon. I'm worried about Aaron Judge. Now, to me, when you are so far away from baseball activities, Mike, I think that and I hope I'm wrong, I think there's a chance that he doesn't come back this year. I actually believe that. I certainly can't prove it. I certainly hope that I'm wrong. I know you hear a lot more than me. How worried are they? Where are we? Because without Judge, there's no hope.
Well, Boone was asked that yesterday before the game. He said, "Oh, he's coming back." Somebody asked him, "Is there any concern that he's not coming back?" He said, "Well, he'll be back." I think that's what they're operating under, that assumption. But I think that one thing that people ought to be prepared for, it's going to be a long process because Brandon, he has not been able to do anything from the waist up They have not allowed him to jog because it would jostle the rib. He can't lift anything like that. So when he's cleared and there's a clear healing at the new imaging that they have, he's going to be starting even before what he would be starting in spring training, because in spring training, you're lifting leading up to spring training and you're in great shape. And obviously he's in great shape from the waist down. He can do stuff with his legs, but a lot of it's the upper body, especially with his power. So it's going to be a while before he comes back. And I think so many things rest on that. People keep asking me, what's wrong with the Yankees? What's wrong with the Yankees? I just think everything is built around Judge, and I don't blame the Yankees for that. They have one of the all-time great players, and they built a team around him. Nobody could have envisioned that he'd be out for 3 months, but that's the case right now. But I think the general feeling is that he will be back, but none of us are doctors. Nobody knows, and I think people are just crossing their fingers.
It's a tricky spot of the body. You pull a hamstring, that's obviously more common. Groins, quads, okay, get it. Flexors in the hip, whatever it might be. Strains in the shoulder, like Judge in the elbow last year. But when you have a rib, like an intercostal, like some sort of ligament, I know I believe it's more bone related with him, right?
I think it's up here. It's a higher rib.
It's a higher rib. Okay.
Yeah.
The problem with that though is that you can't really test it. Because and to your point, and I read that the other day, that from the waist down, he's doing a lot of stuff in the weight room. But when you sometimes you could be in the middle of the night, like you just stretch or you breathe wrong, and it kind of triggers again, and you can take a little bit of a step back. So again, it's a fear of mine that he won't be back this year. I hear what you're saying, and I get you on what Boone said last night as well. But he's still 2 weeks away from the re-imaging. Then it's got to prove that there's been sufficient healing. And then to your point, you've got to, now ramp yourself up because it's a really elongated absence. I mean, if I said to you, Michael, over, under, it's just a guess on your end, over, under August 15th, you think he's back? I don't think he's back by August 15th. I really don't. Do you?
If I had a guess, I would think it'd be in the 3rd week of August. That's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
But again, that's just a guess, because it's July 8th today.
Yep.
And there's still imaging that has to be done, and then he has to take off from there and get back into playing shape and get a swing down. So everybody with the Yankees has to just hope and pray that the imaging shows a complete healing. The one thing that Boone had said a couple of weeks ago is that the pain is starting to subside. So if the pain is starting to subside,
finally, geez,
right? So that would mean that there is some sort of healing, but it has to be a complete healing.
Yes,
because you can't start swinging with only partial healing. It's got to be completely healed before he can really go.
Yep, and there's going to be dry swings, and then a little off the tee, and then a little front toss, soft toss, and then modified BP. Like there's definitely a ramp up progression, which is why I think it's going to be a long time. Last time I had Boone on, which was about maybe a month ago, something like that. Obviously, before Lombard hurt his hand, he was starting to hit. This was right when you didn't hit right away in AAA, as you know, but then he got hot a little bit, started to impact the ball. Numbers were rising, and Boone straight up said, "Yeah, he's in play for 2026." The injury, not that he would be a savior, but I can't imagine he'd be worse than Volpe. You think he's still in the plans? I know there's still some checkpoints here. Where are they with Lombard, do you think, Mike?
Well, the one thing that's a little bit of a conundrum with George Lombard is every time he's been advanced to another level, it takes him a while to get right offensively at that level. So there's a kind of an indoctrination period.
Yep.
So he did that in AA, and he did that at AAA. Started off slowly at AAA, and then started to lock in. If you bring him up when he's healed from the finger injury, it's gonna. Do you really want to bring up a guy who in 2 weeks might be hitting 100? Because you know how tough New Yorkers could be. So, I mean, is there a chance? Yeah, there's a chance, but I'll push back a little bit on you with Volpe.
Okay.
He has not been what he was advertised to be, but his on-base percentage this year is like 345.
I know.
And he's been a guy who's like at 290, which was it's not acceptable because you're not able to use your speed. So yeah, he has ups, he has highs, and he has lows. But if he can hit 240 and have an on-base percentage of 340, 350, that's not terrible. I still think that there's a Major League Baseball player in there, whether it's at shortstop or at second base. I think there's a Major League Baseball player in there.
I'm not so sure anymore, man. And I listen, I love local stories. Del Barton's not too far from where I'm at. You know, I love high school ball. Like, I love that stuff. I met his dad. Great guy. I don't know if you ever met Mr. Volpe.
Terrific.
But
I
he's
love the
a
whole
great guy.
family.
Yeah, great
And,
family.
you know, and people ask me on my radio show all the time, why do you not rip this guy? And, you know, I criticize when I criticize, but I'm not going to rip him because I like him personally
Yep.
and I like his family. There's a human aspect to it as well. I think it's really easy to take pot shots at people that you'll never meet.
Yep.
You'll never have to deal with it. And not that I'm afraid, because I said some things about Anthony, that the arm yesterday. I said the arm doesn't look like it's a prototypical shortstop's arm, and he has not played that well. And right now, Caballero is probably the best choice. But I'm not going to kill a guy who's a good guy, who hasn't hurt anybody, who's always done right by the Yankees, and I happen to know his family. So, yeah, does that make me soft? Maybe in this case it does, but I'm not going to hammer him the way a fan can hammer him, who never has to meet dad and never has to meet mom and never has to meet the sister and doesn't have to talk with Anthony Volpe. So I like Anthony. I hope the best for him.
I love him. I mein, there's an aspect of that I completely relate to. Now, I've met Michael Volpe once, texted a bunch, right? I really like him, but I think that I'm kind of the same way with Boone. Like, I think, to be fair, to be completely transparent, I'll own this aspect where, like, if he was managing the Mets and they were looking this way, I'd probably be on the air saying fire him. Not because it's a Yankee Met thing, because it's it would be a little, because I probably wouldn't have the relationship that I do with him, probably, and it will be less personal. Yeah, as I've gotten older, I've tried to certainly position it more about the production or lack thereof, and keep away from the hit pieces and personalizing it. But there is a point, and I think it's really illuminated because there's just not enough around him. If Volpe was batting ninth or eighth, then you had Tino and Bernie and O'Neill and Posada. Okay, you know, we can live with that. Just catch the ball. Still not a shortstop. That's one thing that I'll push back on you with. His arm, it's a rag arm. I mean, and to me, just the way those throws kind of loop toward even the ones that don't hit the dirt. They come there. It's never on a line. It's never got that real tight spin. Doof. It's always kind of just looping, and you don't have a shortstop arm. But at least we find out that he is, I guess, amenable to playing second base, because if he's going to stay here, that's where I think he's going to eventually have to play, I think.
Well, it's interesting about the arm because a guy who got into the Hall of Fame with every vote but one, Derek Jeter, didn't have a great arm either. Alex Rodriguez had a great arm. Derek Jeter made up for it by a quick release. And I think sometimes Anthony's arm leads him to rush things at shortstop as well. And when he rushes things, I think that then he makes some errors that look careless, but he's just trying to get rid of it quickly to make up for the lack of velocity from the arm. But there have been shortstops that don't have great arms and they get by. And again, Derek Jeter is one of them.
Stanton, I think I didn't hear you say this. I thought I saw a transcript too. I think it was real. Did you say the other day that the Stanton, I think it was you, the Stanton acquisition prevented the were you talking about Stanton the other, rather than me guessing? What did you say about Stanton?
I've said this over and over again, and I like him a lot. And when he's healthy, he's a force.
Yep.
But I said that unless the Yankees win a World Series where Giancarlo is a big part of it, then that deal will go down as a really bad deal for the Yankees. And I don't blame Brian Cashman for it, because when he acquired him, he was not the player that he is now. They didn't know his body was going to break down. He was an MVP when they got him. He's coming off a 59 home run season. He was actually a good outfielder and a really good runner. But it's hard to build a team and have an important part of that team, every single year he's going to be down. And I don't think anybody thought he was going to be down this long, because if you remember, Brandon, when he got hurt in April, they didn't even put him on the IL right away.
I know.
Because they didn't know if it was going to be an IL stint, because it was so minor. And then it took a long time for him to feel better. And then when he ramped it up, he set back again. So I think that what we're seeing is the loss of Judge and Stanton have led to what people say, well, it's bad roster construction. I don't agree with that at all. I just think that what you've done is you've exposed the depth, because the depth now has to play every day. And Paul Goldschmidt is a terrific player, but at 38 years old, he can't play every day. He's going to wear down. It happened last year, and it's happening right now, where he's 0 for his last 30. Terrific guy, good defender, but no one ever thought he was the insurance for Stanton going down for a month. maybe 6 weeks, but not for 3 months. So that's forced Goldschmidt to play every single day. And I
Yep.
think we're seeing some of a regression now, which you're going to see in a 38-year-old.
Mike, you've been doing the Yankees forever. What, 35, 36 years?
This is the 35th year.
That's a lot of nice paychecks coming your way, bro. 35 years. And I said something my way. I can't use it. Right. So you've obviously called a million games, and you're a little bit older than me, so you've seen even more than I have. There was a point, I'm talking about like Stump Merrill right in that era before Buck got things going, Stick Michael and everything. And like after the Donnie, Ricky, Winfield, Jack Clark teams, Pags, that little 3-4 year window, the Yankees were rolling out some of the most wretched catchers I've ever seen. And even slightly before that, like I remember Bob Guerin playing, Ron Hasse. I mean, Austin Wells, he's got to be the worst catcher and I know he's got talent, but I don't even care about that anymore. Forget about catchers. Is this the worst Yankee offensive season that you've ever seen by anybody in all the years that you've watched the Yankees?
I have not given that much thought. I saw a stat yesterday that there are 245 players that have over 200 plate appearances.
Mm-hmm.
And he's last. He's 245th in average, on base percentage, slugging, and obviously OPS. So I can't explain it, Brandon, because this is a guy, when he came up, they said he's an offensive guy. You're going to have to live with his defense. He's turned into a terrific defender, really good framer, really works hard, knows his pitchers, gets the most out of them. I can't explain how on July 8th he has 10 RBIs. I don't have I'm supposed to know baseball. I guess I do. I don't know what's going on with Austin Wells. I have no idea.
You're not supposed to be a magician, though, and it seems like, or a psychic. I mean, it seems like that's where we're at. I have no explanation. I could talk about his approach and bore everybody to tears. I don't know. 10 RBIs. It's not like he's got 39 at bats. You're right. It's absolutely confounding.
Yeah.
What he's morphed into. And by the way, what he's good at is what he was thought to be terrible at, as you just said. And he is a very good receiver. Speaking of the other night, the Cam game, when Dominguez tapped the helmet quickly, was ignored, did it again, ignored, and then Boone came out. I'm thinking, because if I'm Boone, we've seen him explode quite a bit. If I'm Boone, I'm just looking for something to go nuts on, to unleash the venom because he's a competitive guy, that he's got worked up. What exactly, in your interpretation, like, is there a timing mechanism? Because that seemed almost immediate to me, and that's not the first time that's happened to Dominguez. The process of the ABS challenge, I know it's got to be quick, but is there an official rule on it?
It's got to be immediate, and I thought it was immediate.
Me too.
But it can't. From what I heard yesterday, this is what Boone was explaining, that he thought that Dominguez had help from the dugout, which is not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
But Boone said the dugout reacts on every single pitch.
Yes.
So if players are throwing their hands up, like, oh, no, that wasn't a ball.
Yeah.
That's not like somebody looking at an iPad and relaying to him that it was out of the strike zone. And the other time when he was denied it was the same crew. So
yes.
I don't know if it was Emil Jimenez, the home plate umpire, that did it the last time, but it can't be the time, Brandon, because it was immediate. And he did it twice.
Yeah.
So maybe it is that they thought he got help from the dugout, which I also think is ridiculous, because as long as it's quick, if the dugout shouts, "Oh my God," you can't stop players from reacting.
I know.
Players react all the time.
I know. That's what I was trying to unpack with it. It's like, I understand, trying to eliminate the component of like digital assistance. Like if there's a 3-second lag and you've got the iPad and then you're like, oh, challenge it. But that's not what happened. Because it was immediate. So I just wanted to clear that up a bit. Hey, you said it's July 8th here, and the trade deadline is August 3rd. If you act out of desperation, you're going to get fleeced in trades. I understand it's a dance. Teams aren't ready to trade yet, blah, blah, blah. Number one, there better be multiple moves coming. And number two, they better not happen August 2nd. What is your anticipation, or it could be too late, of what Cashman's about to do?
Well, I think they've got to improve the bullpen, and I think their hope was that it would be LeGrand. So with the shoulder injury, he's probably out of play for that. And I think they've got to get a right-handed catcher. I think it's a lot to ask. Everybody wants everything fixed. You're going to have to pick and choose. It's going to be like triage. What do you need the most? and you need somebody in the bullpen, and you need a right-handed hitting catcher. Could they use another starter? I know people are talking up Tarek Skubal. Listen, if the price is cheap, yeah, you investigate it. How could you not? It'd be great to have him pitch. But, I wouldn't. I think I read that you had said this. I wouldn't give up George Lombard Jr. for him, not for 2 months. You're not going to sign him long term. The Yankees have so much money invested in their rotation. $36 million for Cole, $27 million for Rodon, about $30 million for Fried.
Yep.
That's a lot of money. So you're not going to give Tarek Skubal $45 million a year, and we don't even know what the rules are going to be. So everybody's kind of like flying blind. Okay, I'm acquiring this guy. Is there going to be a cap? Can we sign him? Something like that. So if you could get him for less than everybody thinks you're going to get him, yeah, of course you look into it. But again, triage, what do you need the most? And I think somebody in the bullpen and a right-handed catcher.
Does Clark Schmidt factor in at all? I know he's still rehabbing a little bit from the Tommy John. I mean, is he going to be on the Yankee out of the pen probably at some point?
I think he does. There have been good reports I've heard with him working out and throwing, and he wants to get out there, but that would probably be more toward the middle of August. I think the trades could start happening after Sunday, because nobody wants to do anything until the draft. So the draft is going to be the weekend before the All-Star break, so that's this weekend, and then front offices could turn toward, okay, what do we want to do? Here's the thing that is the fly in the ointment, Brandon. Everybody's in it. Because of the third wild card, nobody wants to give up. Now it's going to take tough teams and tough-minded teams to go, okay, we might make the wild card, but we have no chance. And those are the teams that are going to say, okay, we're for sale. The Giants have already made it known we're up for business right now. So Luis Ariz is available. Maybe Chapman is available. They would love to get rid of their shortstop Adames, but I'm not sure what the Yankees would be interested in there.
Yeah, it's a big contract with Adames. I like Arias. He'd fit this the profile, put the bat on the ball. Yeah, listen, I think we all know, we've been saying this for a while, relief pitching, right-handed hitting catcher, that's not going to cut it. Like, there needs to be, like a 96 with Fielder or a Justice, and to me, the importing of a high-level position player, I think I don't know if it will happen, but I think it has to happen for this team to have a real chance, Mike.
To put where? I'm curious. Where are you putting him?
Okay, I can put him in. I could put him at short. I could put him at third. I could put him at second. I could, I could put Belly in center, and then I could put, if it's a left fielder, I could have Grisham play just against righties. I mean, there's enough machinations where I could figure it out.
Here's the way I have to look at it, and you might not agree. If Judge doesn't come back, there's no deal that they could make that's going to make them a World Series contender. I think they have to have Judge back, whatever deal they make. Even
but
if they make a deal,
but you still got to try, right? You can't just say, well, all right, Judge not coming back. See you whenever baseball resumes. You still got to try.
Okay, but you try. But if Judge doesn't come back, I still think they make the playoffs. Because the American League is so dreadful. So I think they'll still make the playoffs. I think their starting pitching is going to come around. They have a little bit of a flat spot right now. So I think they'll make the playoffs. And after that, you roll the dice. But in terms of are they a World Series contender? You need your best player. You have to. There's nobody that's available out there, Brandon, that's Aaron Judge. I'm sorry. Aaron Judge is not available.
I agree. We wish he was available for us. That would be a good starting point. I know you've got your show, so I got about 7 more minutes.
I did tell him one thing, though, the other day. When he spoke to the media, I pulled him on the side. I said, you know what? Everybody said that you might not win the third straight MVP. And he shrugged his shoulders. I said, you got a bigger case to be the MVP this year as ever before.
That's interesting because, and I know where you're going with that. To me, and Judge has certainly earned, and he should have had another one without Altuve, but a lot of the time, if you think about the essence of the award, like if you were to strip away player X, right? What would the result be for team Y?
We see.
Yeah. Remember Pendleton won it years ago with really benign stats either for the Cardinals or the Braves. Well, I forget which one it was, but now it's just about all right, which guy has the most numbers, or the best numbers. Think about the way the Yankees are and how they operate statistically, record-wise, in the standings with Aaron Judge and without Aaron Judge. They're setting records for futility. I mean, they're scoring 2-3 runs a night. They're striking out double figures every game. They got 3, 4, 5 guys with an OPS under 700. I hear you on that, but he would have to come back and bang, which if he's healthy, he will because he's Aaron Judge.
And the big argument last year was it should have been Raleigh. Well, Raleigh has had a dreadful season, and he's on the IL. And you know what? The Mariners are right there. They might win the West.
He's been dog shit.
It's unbelievable.
Wow.
It's unbelievable.
It really is. All right, let me ask you this here, Mike. We know I got about 7 minutes with Mike. He's got a show coming up, but you said till 12:30. You good with that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I appreciate it, dude. So, by the way, so you wake up in Tampa. What'd you do this morning? You're on the road. I know you're not going to the pool. I know you're not going for a run. I don't think you went for a lift. Like, what are you doing in the mornings in the hotel?
I'll tell you what I did yesterday. I worked out for about an hour.
Attaboy.
Then I just walked around, but it's so stiflingly hot. Yeah. And I'll let you in. I just couldn't sleep last night. I felt awful. Like every muscle in my body felt like it was pulling. I feel awful right now. So I have not left the room because I knew I had to talk to you at noon. I have not left the room, and I've just been, reading and preparing for my show. Usually I'll get outside, but I just feel like dog crap right now.
Well, then I really appreciate you coming on. And listen, I don't travel nearly as much as you do, obviously, but I'll do that sometimes. Even like, St. John's with the tournament, if I'm away 4 or 5 days, San Diego and DC when they lost to Duke. Like sometimes, you have 2 kids. I've got 2 kids. We both have a wife. We both work a lot. Sometimes staying in the room and just chilling, it's like peace and quiet. It's phenomenal. It's like gold.
Listen to this, Brandon. So last week, the Yankees were home. So I was home. And it was like I turned back the clock 20 years. Jody, her Christmas present for me was a walking tour of Scotland. So she went with a couple of her friends.
Wow.
She was gone. Both kids are at camp. They were gone.
Nice.
Jody, to help me out, because part of the time that she was away, I was going to be away. Like right now, she put the dog into a kennel. I was Tom Cruise in tighty whities playing air guitar. There was nobody in the house. And the first day it was nice, but then you start missing the sounds.
For sure.
You miss the sounds of the kids and you miss your wife and everything. But, I haven't seen any of them in like 2.5 weeks. So when I get home on Sunday, I'll finally see them.
You're not still wearing tighty whities, are you? I could see you doing that. Do you?
No, I boxer briefs.
Me too.
Yes.
You got to keep,
but not white.
You got to keep the jewels, from bouncing around too much there, Mike.
You know what? The jewels they're so old now, it doesn't matter.
He's got to dust them off once in a while.
Yeah, right. Dusting off. That's the way to say it.
Let me ask you this here, and let's hope this is not the case. Let's say, and again, hoping it's the alternate universe rather than what I'm about to present to you. Let's say this series with the Rays doesn't finish well. I believe the Nationals are up next, right? Nats?
Yep.
Should beat them, but let's save it. And let's say they finish the first half really poorly, and there's just, a continuation and carryover into the second half. Is there any chance that they would move on from Aaron Boone during the season?
I don't think so. I mean, Aaron Boone is an esteemed member of the organization, always represents the team in the right way. The way he conducts himself, meeting the media twice a game. Aaron Boone didn't hurt Aaron Judge. Mm-hmm. I think everything that's happening with this team is because of the injuries. And people go, "Oh, that's not an excuse." That's nonsense. It's a cliche to say it's not an excuse. Of course it's an excuse. It's a reason. No Aaron Judge, no Max Fried, no Giancarlo Stanton, no Carlos Rodon. Of course it's a reason why they're struggling. And you got to get your injured players back. So I don't think that Aaron Boone all of a sudden forgot how to manage. It's the lineup is compromised right now.
I've said with the Yankees, it's more about construction, which to me has always been more of a Cashman thing, right? But I think the court of public opinion is waning, obviously, by the year in terms of the ultimate belief for Aaron Boone. I still believe in him. I still love him. I'll still support him. Now, I won't remain blind forever, and nobody has a job. And Aaron has said that on the show, and he knows that. But my point is that I think part of the pushback, and he could change this, but I know he won't, is if he had the same exact record that he's had as the manager of the Yankees, a lot of wins, playoff wins, but he was just a little bit more transparent with the media about players who are scuffling. I think that that's what really gets people who want to support him more. They're tired of hearing Duvall's good, Wells is hitting the ball. Like that, to me, if that ever ended, then I think he'd be more accepted. I really do.
But the funny part is that this isn't a presidential election. The public's not voting on him. there's two guys that he has to please. He has to please Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner. And, that's the guys he's working for. So I don't think he has to please the media. He doesn't have to please the media, and he doesn't have to please the fans. I mean, the fans, they're the lifeblood of what we do. If there are no fans, there's no radio show for me. There's no Yes Network. I get all that. But, they're fanatical sometimes. The things that they fixate on and think that he's the reason why things are happening, he's never going to rip a player in public. I'm convinced, Brandon, that one of the reasons I'm doing a series here in St. Pete with Joe Girardi is that Joe Girardi had the temerity to actually rip Gary Sanchez, if you remember when he was the Yankee manager.
Of course.
And that was the beginning of the end, because that's not what managers do anymore. So a Lou Piniella wouldn't work now. A Billy Martin wouldn't work now. Earl Weaver wouldn't work. Listen, you're throwing red meat to the fans with, he stinks. He can't hit. He's the worst. Okay, it makes the fans feel good, but it doesn't make the player in the front office feel good.
Nice usage of the word temerity. I don't incorporate that very often. I've got a decent vocab. Temerity is a good one. I like that.
Thank you.
I really
Thank you.
All right,
Fordham.
dude. I know. And by the way, Fordham's got a decent basketball roster. And are you following? Like, they did pretty well in the NIL. They got some players, man.
You know what? I just like to see them get to the NCAA while I'm still alive.
That's how I felt about St. John. Like, come on, let me just call some NCAA games, please.
And you did.
I called a bunch. It's been good.
Yeah.
Rick, you're going nowhere, Rick. You coach it when you're 90. I don't care what you say. You can't leave.
That's right.
You can't leave. Now you're sticking around, Rick. Hey, go get a little tea before the show. You got about 30 minutes for the Michael K. Show on 880. You know I love you, buddy. You know I appreciate you doing this. Thank you very much. Great stuff today, Mike. I'll talk to you, pal.
You got it. Be well.
There he is. Michael K., the great voice of the Yankees. And really one of the great voices of multiple generations. If you really think about it, obviously Mike and Chris, the trendsetters, the pioneers, the best to ever do it as a team. But when you think about the soundtrack, for New York sports, Michael's like next in line. And there's other very talented people. Boomer's done it for a long time. Craig's done it for a long time. But Michael's done it so long. Michael was there along with Donnie when they launched 1050, which is now 880, which was 98.7, I think, on the FM dial. So there's been some changes there. But the station launched in 2001. I think it was shortly after 9/11, amazingly. I joined in 03. Mike was doing middays at that point. Don was the first voice you heard. I think it was an update. And he's been there ever since. And think about all the, whether it's he was there for Herm, Mangini, there for Rex Ryan, there for Joe Torre, there for Mariano, Jeter, all the championships, the A-Rod stuff, the steroids. He's been there all. Eli's 2 Super Bowls, Coughlin. He is really, really the next championship, of course. So the Isaiah days, going back to that. He's done it all. And he's just, he's a great guy, man. Absolute massive love for Michael K. What'd you think about that, Jay? Pretty solid? He was great.
That was fantastic, man. I loved the moments when he got a little spirited. I loved him explaining kind of his relationship with the Volpe fam, kind of expounding on that a little bit.
Yep.
I thought it was great, and I think what's interesting is the information he gave on Judge. I think you should leave what he said. I wouldn't say optimistic, but pretty certain that he'll return at some point this season. I think that's kind of the messaging I got from Michael right there.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of things there. There was definitely a lot of things there. But the thing that you can't deny, and again, it's not, it's worthless even if I was to say it, and I haven't made it definitive. Like, I haven't said Aaron Judge will not be back. I don't know. I have no idea. It's my fear that he won't be back, or, he won't be back soon enough to, win the division and give them a chance to win the division, or he'll be back and he'll be a slightly diminished version of Aaron Judge, which will not be good enough. But even Michael voiced some real concerns. And think about the timeline, not that he won't come back, but you still, it's July 8th. You're still a couple of weeks away from getting back in the MRI tube, get the imaging. Let's say I'll throw out July 20th. All right, let's say he gets it on July 20th. God forbid, if it's not favorable, that's a disaster. I'm not even going to go there. Although, that could be on the table, but to project positively, July 20th, all right, the healing's good. They feel good. Let's take baby step one of however many steps there will be to get Aaron Judge back in the lineup.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it is a very slow and redundant and deliberate ramp up where, I mean, seriously, dry swings at 50%, dry swings at 75%, hitting softly off a tee, hitting softly soft toss, front toss, seeing some, mid-level, just BP stuff. Then eventually hitting off the machine, the tracks where they actually replicate, 99, 100 miles an hour, each pitcher, each team. Well, I don't know if each team has that. I know the Yanks and the Mets do, where, say, if you're facing Scooble, you could just get in the box like in a hitting cage. You'll see an image of Scooble's funky windup, and they program every single pitch with the amount of break and exactly. So when you get in the box against Scooble, not that it's going to guarantee a couple of knocks because he's Scooble and you don't know what's coming, but you won't be surprised by the abrupt shift in depth or whatever it might be. You're going to have to go through that. Then you're going to have to play a minor league game. Like, there's still a lot to go before we get to Aaron Judge coming back here. So that was outstanding. Why is a lineup on a team with a $330 million payroll dependent upon one player? Horrible payroll allocation by Brian Cashman during the Judge era. J-Rod, how many times have I said, thank you for that very much, by the way. How many times have I said that? I have. It's my
10 million.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's my go-to line with the Yankees. I do think that's problem number one. Problem number one is not Hal. Problem number one is not Aaron Boone. Problem number one, now you can even make the case, problem number two is the man who's in charge of building the Yankee roster, which is not Hal and not Boone. It's Cashman. He has always been my primary target. I will not deviate from that. There's no need to until the results force me to change my opinion. Like the Knicks. Had to own that one. My buddy Jake, who I'll see today, episode 16 of the Jets Collective. Two of the all-time greats talking sports. Hell yeah. What up, Jake? Jake does a lot of work on 880 as well. He's filled in for Mike quite a bit. So he's a rising star in the business. Why don't you slap that Jets Collective thing that we made there? Episode 16. Give you guys a heads up. Little housekeeping. Yeah, that is sharp as hell. Today, with myself and Rich and Jake, we'll go for about an hour or so. Get into all the pertinent topics. Jets start a little bit later. I was looking at this before. I'm not talking about rookie camp, but I think the Jet Veterans Report is it July 28th? Yeah, it's late. Let me just confirm that. I believe it's July 28th. And there were some where the veterans have to report, July 24th. Dude, if it's up to me, the Jets should report now. Get as much practice as you can get. I don't know. I don't even pretend. Jake, by the way, if you know, just text it in, free of charge, obviously. But I don't know why certain teams would start. Well, obviously, there's a Thursday night game, so teams who were playing earlier. I guess I'm answering my own question, but let's see. NFL training camp dates, report dates here. I know the rookies. Yeah, it's the 28th here. Rookies report July 25 for the Jets, July 28. For everybody else, the Giants go on July 23rd. Veterans July 28th as well. So the Giants will have 5 days for the rooks. The Jets will only have 3 before they transition to the entire roster. Here's the entire report date listing. I can't wait to start getting into football, man. Football is going to be phenomenal. Interesting. Like the Cardinals, they could use it as well. Their rookies report on July 22nd, and the veterans report on July 22nd. But then you have the Falcons, like the Jets, the veterans report 6 days later. Buffalo, the 28th. The Ravens, the 28th. The Panthers, the 22nd. The Bears, the 28th. The Bengals, the 20th. A lot of these teams are actually, now that I look at it, the 28, 25 for the Rams. Well, they're out. The Rams are playing, right? Oh, the Rams, who's that? No, where are the Rams? Aren't the Rams playing in Australia to start? Is that Seattle and the Niners, or is that Seattle and the Rams? I know the Rams start early. Dolphins, the 28th. I think the Dolphins are going to be rough this year, man. Minnesota, the 28th. The Pats, the 24th. Yeah, it looks like it's pretty much the 28th, and then those teams who play earlier get a couple of days earlier than that, whatever. But, yeah, I mean, that was just good stuff. I love when Michael comes on. Absolutely love it.
It's too much fun. I mean, listen, obviously it gives you kind of a bit of an insider look into the Yankees. I also just think like coming off of this morning, it was a little hot after, saying what he did about Volpe, having to rescind it shortly afterwards. So I think, that maybe, led it to be a more spirited conversation. I love it. I love Michael.
And yeah, he's just a great guy. And it's also, it's a long relationship. But you got to remember, I met Michael in 2003. It's a long time ago. 2003. My wife and I were Jen and I were at his wedding. I remember, I'll never forget, I ruptured my Achilles playing hoops. And I wasn't at the station that long at this point. And obviously I wasn't married, so I didn't have Jen to take me. So my dad would come in from Brooklyn, and that's when I was in the walk up. I told you, the fourth floor walk up pre-war in Manhattan. Anyway, I needed some help. I mean, I was jacked up, so my dad was picking me up and taking me to rehab, or even taking me, I think, to the hospital. Yeah, definitely took me to the hospital to get the surgery for sure. And then like rehab and stuff really helped me out. But Michael was the first one. I remember when I was going to get the imaging, I got hurt on a Tuesday night. And I went to Lenox Hill Hospital from the gym where I was playing in a league, gosh. Right? And when you hurt your Achilles, that's why when you see a tweet, right? And you'll see this, unfortunately, during the NFL season. You'll see it during the NBA season, but it's not confirmed. Like they have this thing called the Thompson's test. And when I went to Lenox Hill, I'm like, please, and I knew it was ruptured, but I'm like, please don't tell me it's ruptured, man. As I remember saying that to the doctor. And he's like, I can't really tell you because we're not allowed without imaging, and you have to schedule the imaging, which I went for the next day. But the Thompson's test, like you squeeze a part of the calf, and if the foot either inflexes, whatever the flex word is, like basically if it lays dormant, then you've got it's ruptured. You just need confirmation on the imaging to tell the extent. But I remember looking at him looking at me, and he's like, let's go for the imaging tomorrow. I'm like, oh God. So I go. So my dad's taking me for the imaging, and Michael was the first one at the station to call me. Like he's just got a big heart, man.
There we go.
His first one, dude, you all right? I heard you got hurt. Checking in on you. Just a great person, awesome talent. I mean, I don't think people realize. Not that you're going to feel sorry for him. He's making good money, as he should, for a long time, as he should, with these prominent jobs here. But it's a grind, and Michael's talked about this. I'm not talking out of school. Michael's talked about this publicly. He didn't even know if he was going to continue the radio show because Mike's not young. I mean, Mike's in his 60s. And I know it seems, glamorous, and to an extent it is, to get on the Yankees charter. It's not like you're waiting at Newark or LaGuardia or JFK, and you get delayed 5 hours. You leave the stadium, you get on the bus, you go to the private airport, you fly wherever you're flying, you land at the Four Seasons. They got meal money waiting for you, best hotels, all that stuff, right? But it's a grind, constant travel and then being away from the kids, which would kill me. Like I would have a rough time. You do what you got to do as a provider, but that's the aspect that nobody calculates. And the guy, it's not like he's just doing it with the Yankees. He's getting up every day doing a radio show, with energy. Now it's not 4 hours like it used. It's 2 hours condensed, but he's by himself and he's bringing it, man. So just big thanks to Michael for coming on. Any chats that you think we need to get to before we get up on out of here? What do you think there, Jay?
This one was actually pretty interesting. So they were talking about the salary cap and the restrictions it might bring. And so this person said they'll have to grandfather contracts in. No way they'd penalize immediately. The owners would riot. I thought that was just like a pretty interesting, like, hypothetical in which, like, the players who still, have the massive contracts obviously are not, penalized contract wise or money wise, where the newer players coming into the league suffer from the salary cap rules.
Yeah, it is interesting. I said it 2 weeks ago. It was interesting 2 weeks ago, but I said it on the show. I guess
there we go.
Something up. No, I agree with that. That's just common sense. I mean, take Lindor. All right, now who knows what's going on? If there's any real, and I'll jump into it when I get off the air here. If there's any real smoke with the Blue Jays, doesn't seem to be, but you never know. Like, it wouldn't stun me if Lindor's traded, and that might be more of an off-season thing because it's going to take a lot, and you don't know the rules. So to absorb that contract, blah blah blah, it's a difficult move now. But a Lindor deal, not going to trade Soto, but like you're not going to trade Judge. But there are contracts out there that have a lot of years to go that are going to be overly punitive, for if you're in the acquisition department or even the retention department. Like, think about this. Let's say there's a salary cap, and which I'm still not sure if they're gonna have to have so many concessions for the union to agree on that. But we'll have a time and a place to really dive into that. But if there is a salary cap, and you've already got, I'm just throwing out a number for one of the higher profile teams, Yankees, Mets, Phillies, Dodgers, Cubbies, a couple other teams, Giants have money on the books where, if you already have, let's say for 2027, $147 million or even more in some cases already committed, and the salary cap, ceiling is 250, like it's unrealistic and it's unfair. You can't just shove it down somebody's throat and say, all right, you can only have a 5-man roster. Like there's going to be some grandfathered concessions. I agree. That's an astute point. I also brought it up multiple weeks ago.
There you go. Here's another one. This was what really got the people fired up. When he compared Volpe's arm to Derek Jeter's. And people just, they got fired up from the comparison to Jeter from one Anthony Volpe.
Yeah, you know what? To be fair, and I knew he had a time restraint, I could have pushed back on that. I didn't think that I needed to because to me, it's very clear that Volpe has an incredibly inferior arm. And to me, it's also, with all due respect to Michael's opinion, to me, it's also incredibly clear that he had a much more inferior arm to Derek. Now, not to try to read Michael, so I disagree with that. So maybe I could have pushed back, but I definitely disagree with that. I don't think that that's accurate. But I think what Michael was talking about was toward the end of Derek's career, you saw those balls similar to some of Volpe's kind of starting to bleed toward the a couple of inches, half a foot above the dirt instead of that clothesline dart. Because when Derek came up, Derek had a hose. Now, StatCast at the end of his career, maybe even slightly middle to the end, obviously StatCast and the advanced analytics and metrics were there, not as readily available. Like I wasn't jumping on Fangraphs in Derek came up in 96. I wasn't jumping on Fangraphs in 2000. I can promise you that. But if I was, and if it was available, or Savant, which I do now with so many different things, I could promise you Derek Jeter's not in the, 8, 12, 15, 18 percentile of velocity across the diamond. I'm not saying he's Ellie De La Cruz throwing 99, but Derek was not a Bichette, who's 82, 83, or Volpe, who's in that window as well. I'm pretty confident that during his physical prime, Jeets was humming that ball absolutely 90. There's no doubt when he was in his prime. So I think that Michael meant on the back end, and if he did, he's accurate. If he meant the beginning of Jeter, I would definitely disagree with that. I don't think that that's accurate. What else? Give me one or two more.
Let's see.
There better be a lot of likes on this here today because we had a pretty.
Let me say that too. We got 525 viewing right now. You better drop a like right now.
Well, yeah, you better. And we had a lot more when Mike was here. We were tilting towards 1,000, which is a nice number for still a fairly young channel. You got to like the show, man. Or if you don't like it, don't watch. Let's see what you got there. You don't have to hunt for something. If there's nothing great, if there's nothing that stands out.
It's a lot of the Volpe stuff that I'm going through right now.
Anything about Michael?
Certainly. There's certainly something. Let's see. Volpe sucks, K. What are you talking about? Let me tell you the Mets fan sucks.
Oh, good. Don't go crazy.
Let's see. Austin Wells, RBI this season, 10. Ryan O'Hearn yesterday, 10.
That's true. That
is just ridiculous.
I'm not a huge believer in evaluating players based on runs driven in, but stuck on 10 RBIs, it is unheard of. You're right. You can make that the last one. No, I agree. I myself value RBIs probably a little bit more than the fully analytically driven younger fan. I do realize it's a product or it's a byproduct of what's around you. Like if you look at, I'll just pop up my guy Mattingly. If you pop up Mattingly stats, the year that he had, that would have been 85 when he had 145 RBIs, right? I mean, who was batting first? I mean, that was Ricky Henderson. So, and then and Ricky was there for 5 years, he was hurt, so he played about a good 4+, and then he was dealt in the middle of the seasons last year. But Donnie, in 85, that was Ricky's first year. and Mattingly had 145 RBIs. And the year before that, when he won the batting title with Winfield last day of the season, when Donnie had 3 or 4 hits against the Tigers and he beat him by a percentage point, beat Winfield, Mattingly, hit 343, but it had 110 RBIs. Then Ricky shows up and it spikes to 145. And then, 113. And Ricky was still there for this, but 113, 115. Then Donnie got hurt, whatever. There's obviously a correlation. If you've got a great leadoff hitter, you're just going to be in better position for more RBIs. I mean, that's just common sense. So I don't devalue it. I don't amplify it to a point that is not really reflective of combining, maybe some old school appeal with some new school logic. But yeah, I mean, RBIs, you getting the job done. I mean, not everything's going to be a 3-run homer. I'm pretty sure if a guy's got like Aaron Judge, when he's healthy, he just cranks out a million, he hits a lot of home runs, but, also drives in guys from third base. And, if you're not hitting 230, you're having some productive at-bats, which is going to lead to some more RBIs. Anyway, I think we can wrap it up there, Jay. Michael was absolutely fantastic. If you guys missed any of it or jumped in late, by all means, jump into the live stream. We'll go right up on the channel. J-Rod's going to chop it up into all the pertinent stuff that we hit. Boone, Volpe, Cashman's, I'm sure Judge, Stan, whatever it might be. He's going to jump into 3 or 4 of those things and hit you with that. Tomorrow we'll be back on at 10 o'clock. That is my anticipation. Again, big shout out to Michael for doing this. Much appreciated. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Like it, subscribe if you haven't yet done that. And I will be back at 3 right here on YouTube with Jake and with Rich. So shout out to those guys. Episode number 16 coming up of the Jets Collective. And other than that, back here on Unleashed tomorrow at 10. Have a great Wednesday. And I'll catch you later with the Jet stuff tomorrow right here on this channel. See ya.
This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me? This is Unleash. Are you listening? Can you hear me?
With your host, Brandon